Today, I'd like to start this episode with some fun facts. What I'm holding in my hand is what we call the Rubik's Cube. I know it's a very popular icon among so many people. The Rubik's Cube was invented by a Hungarian sculptor, a professor called Erno Rubik in 1974. So this was done in 1974. I'm sure way longer than most of you listening to were even born. He was a professor of architecture. He invented this Rubik's Cube. And it was released internationally in 1980. So between 1974 to 1980, this thing went viral. And it has become one of the most popular icons, or the best popular icon across the continent. And as at December 2025, over 600 million copies or 600 million of these Rubik's Cube has been sold worldwide. So look at 1974 to 2024. A lot of years has passed, but this remains one of the global icons when it comes to puzzles. So in today's episode of Black Coffee's Method in Madness, we are going to talk about what we call the Murphy's Law. So the title of this episode is called the Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. And I'm applying that to mainly my journey in terms of what I have done, what I have built over the last 10 years. So the last two episodes talked about how we started, the transition from corporate to this entrepreneurship, the whole idea of now moving to Dubai to be part of an accelerator. What happened after the accelerator? That's why I title this episode as Murphy's Law. Whatever will go wrong, or whatever can go wrong, will go wrong. So during our time at accelerator, accelerator programs usually have a start point and an ending point. And usually they will last for about 3 months. So they give you an initial investment. And before that, I think the goal of why I hold this Rubik's Cube is before I finish about 10 or 15 episodes, I should be able to solve it. So I usually solve it when I'm recording. So when you see me holding it, I'm trying as much as possible to solve the Rubik's Cube. So back to the accelerator program, usually they have a definite start point and an ending point. And most of them will last between 3 to 4 months. So the initial set of funding that you get for an accelerator can last you that period. And then after that, you either have to raise more capital or to know what to do next. So whilst we're in Dubai, after the 3 or 4 month period, we had what we call a demo day. A demo day is mainly where after the end of the accelerator, so you see consider it as a graduation. You've gone to school for about 3-4 years and then you do graduation. They celebrate you based on what you've got. The demo day period is also a period where the startups get celebrated. They get to pitch or sell their ideas in front of investors to be able to raise money. And it's not as if the moment you get on stage to pitch your ideas, you're going to have investors jumping all over you like that. You are the prettiest girl in the room. No, it doesn't happen that way. So the demo day period is for you to sell your idea to potential investors. So we went through the demo day, being the only Black founder as part of that cohort. We pitched and then the demo day ended. But what happens after the demo day is what most people don't get to know. During this entrepreneurship period, you listen to a lot of this Silicon Valley ideas. You listen to some of these motivational speakers. People have a lot of crap telling you that, once you have an idea, it's all about people throwing money at you. That's misleading and that's false. So right after the demo day, you might get 1 or 2 people who will say, hey, I'm interested. I want to learn more. And that doesn't mean the next day they'll give you money. It involves series and series and series of what we'll discuss that as we go along, what we call the pre-investment activities, fundraising, what you have to do, what they call investor readiness to be able to raise capital for your venture. So right after the demo day, we had about 1 or 2 of these investors who wanted to learn more about what we had done at Swappaholics. At that point, we hadn't built Agro Center yet. It was Swappaholics. So the conversations went on, but you get to know that the money that's been given to you is supposed to last you for 3 months, give or take, because it's out of that same money you are paying rent, Your feeding is coming out of that money. Your other expenses are coming out of that money. So definitely that money ran out at a certain point. And that is not your country. Definitely you are not from Dubai. Dubai is freaking expensive. So what you have to do, so what happened is after the demo day period, we're talking to the investor. And typically from when the time an investor will show interest in your business to the funds will come into your company, you will last anything between 6 months to 1 year. What are you going to do within this period? So whilst we're engaging these investors, we run out of money. And then I told Michael, Charlie, let's find some side hustle and then do. Mike was a developer, so it was easier for him to get some developer gigs in Dubai. So he joined a company. He was doing some freelance or free or using some consultancy time to build apps for them. I was coming more from the product side. So for me, it wasn't an easy activity. I was looking for a role in some product department. We're doing all this because we're looking to raise additional capital for ourselves whilst we're focused on the business. Michael got a gig. I didn't get a gig. I put in several applications, 1 or 2 or 3 of them. Even at the accelerator where we were working, I even applied to become a social media manager. Charlie, they didn't pick me. So I was there and I was running out of money. I said, Charlie, time to go back home because you can't be in a foreign country and run out of money. So I checked my balance. I think I had close to about, I think it was about $400 or $500 left. So I decided to book a 1-week ticket back home. I had to book Ethiopian Airlines. And during my stay in Dubai, a lot of the money we had, we invested in buying books because we had started a business and we needed to know the ins and outs of running a business. Trust me. There are several books that I bought. And these airlines, when you are checking out, they give you a baggage allowance. Ethiopian Airlines gave us a baggage allowance of 23 kilograms. And when I went on scale, I think the books in my bag has exceeded my allowable limits of weight. Charlie, what I would do? And after I bought the ticket, I think I was left with about 100 or 100 and I think about $200 or even $150 back then. So I went and then they did the calculation. I was supposed to pay about $120. Hey, Eradi, I'm dead. Out of the $150, I'm supposed to pay 120. What will be left for me when I get to Ghana? I paid because I couldn't leave the books behind. I paid the $120, got on a flight, got to Accra one hot afternoon, and I was left with just about $30. What did I do? I just went to the nearest Forex bureau at the airport, changed the remaining dollars into cedis, picked the car, and went home. Ground zero. You had come from an accelerator where you were expecting to be able to, you were looking at a lot of little things from the Silicon Valley style. It's just a natural progression from step 1, step 2, step 3. Not knowing from step 1, there's a big dip before you even climb up to step 2. So, Charlie, I had to come back to Ghana to be able to find my feet after Swappaholics. Mike was still based in Dubai. I think when I left, it took him about, his contract ended 2 or 3 months after I left. He also came to Ghana. So whilst I was in Ghana, Charlie, that's when a lot of hustling. You've gone to an accelerator program, you're expecting to do ABC, and Charlie, I'm fat. Pick. So how will you survive? Whilst there, I bought a lot of electronic gadgets. I bought a camera. I bought a lot of things. So I decided to, Charlie, as a way to just get quick money, let me sell a few of the things that I bought. And I had some of these scented candles, a lot of these things. Quickly, I went on Turn8, put those things there. And then people, but that money is not enough to be able to sustain you or even sustain the family. You're a family man, you need to get money. So it was quite a lot. I was spending a longer time in the room when I came. I didn't want to step out. I think I was picking a lot of plants. I think sometimes my mom will come and knock. Is everything okay in the room? That time I was staying with her. Is everything okay in the room? I said, Charlie, I'm trying to pick a strategy, trying to pick what is next, Charlie. What I would do as this thing no pick, as this thing no far. What will I do? And I was living in Pram Pram. Pram Pram is a coastal community. It's close to the sea. And so instead of staying in the room too much and be thinking, because Charlie, anything can happen when you overthink. Stress, you can even get suicidal thoughts, etc. Because Charlie, this is an idea that you believed in. You had quit your job, sold everything, sold your car, sold everything. You came back, I didn't even have a car that helps because I sold my car to be able to buy the plane tickets to go to Dubai. So at that time, I think Facebook was in vogue. And Facebook had grown out around 2016, thereabouts. So I bought a camera. That camera, I decided not to sell it. I said, Charlie, this camera there, I'm not going to sell them. So let me pick a hobby in photography. So usually when the sun is out, when it's getting to around 3, 4 p.m., I'll take a long walk. I'll go to the beach. I'll take some photos. Just a way to be able to occupy my time and then my thoughts in a lot of these things. And it was at that point, I think I had made friends with the late Emmanuel Bobier. May his soul rest in peace. Bobier was doing a lot of photo walks. It was one of my biggest motivation. So I reached out to him. I noticed he used to come around Pam Pam, flying drones, etc. So anytime he's going to come, Charlie, I'm around. Anytime you're around, just let me know. He'll come, he'll call me, we'll go on a photo walk. Anything to take my mind off the kind of stress or the mental stress that I was going through, because Charlie, your business was failing. Well, alongside that, I was also trying to see if we can launch in Ghana. And it was around that time that a lot of these big players are coming to the market, the Tonatons, the GGs, etc. Actually, they had a lot of marketing, but if you remember back then, you could see Tonaton adverts everywhere. They would stick it on cars, they would stick it on trucks, everything. Actually, the guys had millions of dollars to spend on marketing budget. How does a startup like that compete? Our platform was not a free platform. It was a paid platform where you have to pay to be able to do your swapping. The other house a free classified. So we saw a lot of our users migrating to this free platform because who know like free? Nobody's willing to pay for some of them. And they had marketed themselves to a certain point where they became a household name. So Charlie, we are trying so many things. We tried to even launch in Kenya. We gave it a Kenya name to be able to swap. It didn't work. It didn't work. So I think at a certain point, we had an honest conversation. Charlie, this thing, it won't work. We are wasting money on it. So let's just shut down and then see what we can do next. And it's a shutdown period that is very difficult period. You are a family man. So there are a lot of thought going through my, should I go back to corporate? Should I go and look for work? That time I didn't want to tell my family members that Charlie, people were making me job offers. So people got to know I'd come. I think I got about 2 or 3 job offers. But I thought, Charlie, I don't want to work for anybody again. There's this craziness or this madness of being your own boss. So I said, Charlie, I want to. So a lot of job offers, I hate them. Some of them were to be an IT manager for this firm, to be a tech person for this company. I said, Charlie, I can't go back to corporate. So a lot of these things so after this individual, so what is next? What is next for us? What is really, what are we going to do as the next thing? Charlie, you spend countless nights awake. Sometimes I can be up awake around 1 or 2 a.m. thinking of what's the next thing that I can do. Charlie, because the bills need to be paid. If you are broke as fuck, you need to get money to do a lot of things. And even when you're going to town, Charlie, even picking product, you have to calculate how much you have on you. There was one time I remember I went to town. I was coming back home and then it was raining. So the point of where you get out from the throttle to even the next shelter, Charlie, it was about 10 or 20 meters. But the intensity of the rain, if you live in the coastal areas, you know that the rains coming from the sea comes with a lot of wind, Charlie. I went to hide under a makeshift, it was a, how do you call it? It was more like a place where the taxi drivers would sit. So it was just a makeshift place. They had a aluminum roofing and some stand. Charlie, the rain hit me well. At that time, I think because we didn't have an office, anybody we wanted to meet, we meet them at Accra Mall. At that point, there was this cafe in Accra Mall, I've forgotten the name. We'll go and sit there, buy one of their smoothies and sit there for about 4 or 5 hours. The guys knew us because you go there, you buy, and then you have to use that place to do your meetings, do some email sending, etc. So the rain hit me at that capacity. It's time for me to think of the next thing. What is something that I'm really going to do next? Since Swappaholics didn't work. So I was toying up with a lot of ideas. At that time, Mike has also come, another hustler man. He has also come back to Ghana, and I told Charlie, Mike, what we go do next? This thing, work. So what we go do next? He said, Charlie, you come up with something. You always ideas, man. You can come up with something. So I was sitting there and I said, Charlie, this Swappaholics thing, and I'd worked in some agricultural companies. Why don't I do something like, we call it Agro swap, where farmers will want to swap A for B. Charlie, was a shitty idea at that point. But anything, Charlie, we have to go make man go survive. We were thinking of it. So, yeah. What if a farmer was swapping maize for fertilizers? What if a farmer is swapping hoe for cutlass? I said, this is a rural community. Would they not get money? Would they be able to do some of these swapping things, etc.? But for us to be able to validate that idea, you can't just sit in Accra and then start building and thinking the farmers would want to do this. So I think I called Mike. I said, Charlie, Mike, I got some idea. We say, Charlie, let me hear it. I say, it's an agricultural sector. And because most of the two of us had worked in our previous corporate life, we were working in the agricultural sector. Why don't we try to build something? He said, Charlie, so what will be the name? I think we were moving around Agro Swap. And then Mike said, Charlie, why don't you do the Agro Center? It's going to be the central point for everything agriculture. I said, Charlie, afa. I remember that meeting very well. That meeting, we had it at Golden Tulip, now Lancaster, Accra. He mentioned Agro Center, and I said, Charlie, that's the name. So we decided to spell it, and we didn't want to go AGROCENTER. That was too cliche. So we said AGRO capital CENTA. Charlie, we were adding some swag and some vibes to it. We're surviving original line vibes. So we decided to add those. So now we had a name, we had an idea. What do we do next? So I said, Charlie, now we forgo North. Go listen to these farmers. Let's go and listen to them and see if what we are saying makes sense in terms of something that they want to do. And I think that time I had this very old Nissan Rogue. It was a Z registered. The car, if you drive a Nissan Rogue, shout out to you, you are the most patient person in the world, because that car is a piece of terrible crap. So I think I told Mike, Charlie, let's go to the north and then see if we can do a lot of validation. At that point, Charlie, we don't get money. So the field money that we're able to hustle for fuel, etc., we set off. And we couldn't sleep in hotels because hotels were expensive. Hotels has always been expensive in the northern region, mainly because of these development partners, these NGOs who pay top dollar for very basic rooms that they are not supposed to pay for. Apologies for that. So no apologies for that. So we decided, I asked my Charlie where we would sleep. So at that time, Mike, his dad, may his soul rest in peace, was a Baptist pastor. So he called up one of the Baptist people in Tamale and said, Charlie, my boys want to come to Tamale to do some validation. You see some of those of our Baptists, the small place that we have that people stay, give them some room for it. They'll be staying for about a week or two. So they say, I think we asked how much was it. They said 20 cities. We say, hallelujah, God, amen. 20 cities, we knew what 20 cities could get us. So we bought fuel. We sat in my car. The car didn't have AC. We drove all the way from Accra to Tamale. Occasional stop on the way to put water in the tank, etc. We go to Tamale. We did the rounds. We went to stay in our 20 city 5-star apartment. It didn't come with breakfast. So how would you pay 20 city and want bed and breakfast? There was no breakfast there. You have to go and hustle for your own food. We'll wake up in the morning. At that point, we started doing some form of engagement. I think because I was also using social media, Facebook then a lot. I got to meet some people up north when I told them that we were coming. So there was one guy who volunteered to be our first employee. We didn't even have money to pay him. He knew all the communities that we wanted to go to. So we got to Tamale. He would take us to the East Gonya. We went to Myong, we went to Impaha, we went to Sabelugu, everything. Meeting farmers, telling them our ideas, validating ideas, whether they liked it or not, whether it made sense. And at that point, it was more of a learning thing because we were learning what we were going to build for the smaller farmers. We didn't want to build anything that they didn't want. We stayed in Tamale for about 2 weeks. So 2 weeks multiplied by 20 cities, you can do the maths. You can see how much we paid. Then it was time to come back because we had finished our assignments. At that point, we had run out of money. So Charlie, we didn't even have money to buy fuel. So I called a couple of friends. Mike called his family people. They sent us some money. We bought fuel. We drove all the way to Accra. And the craziest thing happened. I think the car, on the way, I noticed the car was misbehaving, small. But Charlie, we said, Vim, we will go. We stepped up. And Mike, if you know Mike, he's a Formula 1 driver. He likes speed. We're doing 100, 120 on the road. We go to Accra. He dropped me off. I had to pick a trotro back to Pram Pram. He was going to pick his wife, I think, at Hollywood. When he got to 37, right at 37, in the middle of traffic, the car died. The transmission was fried. The car was just so I think the car was just, let me get these two broke boys to Accra before I die. So the car had to be towed all the way to a mechanic in Osu, and I think he had to pick trotro. So that was how, after the failed Swappaholics, how we began the Agro Center journey. So the next episode, I'm going to delve deeper into how, even after the field visit, how did we build something from ground up? How were we able to attract other potential partners to become partners of Agro Center? So don't don't think it was an easy journey. And this is not a way to tell you that, oh, this guy is from this rags to riches kind of thing. No, it's not rags to riches. It's still rags to a bit of rags. And we're not at riches yet, but it's a way to be able to let you understand that, Charlie, the journey is not the same as it's being told by some of these motivational speakers who stand on stage and make everything look so easy, so rosy, so as if it's a path that has been from money jump to 2 to 3, and then boom, you're a millionaire or be your own boss. So thank you very much for listening to this episode of me talking. You're going to hear me a lot talking in the subsequent series. So it's been a pleasure engaging you, and look out for episode 4, where we'll talk more about how Agro Center started, some of the obstacles that we navigated, and to be able to get to where we are. And fun fact, Agro Center will be 10 years this year in August. So definitely a lot of knowledge, a lot of gem, a lot of funny tidbits I'll be sharing on our 10-year journey.